not found in South India in the map. But is that because elephants were not in South India 2,500 years ago? No. It was because Chandragupta Maurya's empire didn't go down to South India. So he has talked about all the places where in the empire of his emperor elephants are found. And then he says these may be declared as Gajavanas. Then he says that if people go into these places, these are the penalties. So when people say Yellowstone is the world's first park, I laugh. I mean, these are parks. The emperor ordered it. When people say Britain had the first laws to protect wildlife, not really true. These are laws. It was on a rock edict. One of them stands outside my house. If somebody comes to East of Kerala, I can show you the show. So these are rock edicts which they prescribe what could be done and what couldn't be done, and in this particular case specifically. So in many ways these are ancient laws and ancient national parks. The only people, Nazreen said, a French woman said that she had older parks, and that's absolute rubbish because the French were nowhere civilized 2,500 years ago. But perhaps Egyptians could have a claim, perhaps the Chinese could have. They're the only two people who could have a claim as old as India. I've looked at my history. I've encouraged the Chinese. I gave a talk last month in China, and I encouraged the Chinese to see if in their ancient texts there is a history. But that same Gajavana now look like this tree. This is the forest cover of India, right? Today. All the white is not white, it's human beings. So it's all full, right? And in that, the elephants exist in 4 sort of broad regions, and even within that fragmented into several little pieces. Isolated. So what threatens or protects elephants in India? Like everywhere else, and you heard Azreen say, poaching, habitat loss, conflict, all this is there. Anywhere, whether it's Africa or India, there's no difference. But like nowhere else, there is religious sentiment in this country for elephants. And there's a conservation ethic which is actually even beyond religion. In my state, Kerala, so Hindus are supposed to worship it, and the elephant is supposed to go, God is supposed to go one day on elephant back to the people. That is the tradition. But today, the largest number of elephants are being used by mosques. So Allah also goes on the elephant. Christ goes on the elephant. So huge number of elephants are being used by all religions. So it's actually not religion. It is the ethic of the land, which worships the elephant as something which is close to God or can be deity. I spent 5 minutes on the ivory trade, which people have talked about yesterday. We heard Dr. Singh say that this is one of the big things that in India, we had a major problem in the 90s, early 90s, because of trade. But today, actually, this trade is reasonably well controlled. We have poaching in India, but it's much better off, except in spurts. As we realized in Kerala, we had a spurt a few years ago, Orissa, there was a spurt. But other than spurts, generally, it's not that huge trade. I'm glad you can see this photo at least. Why are elephants killed for ivory? It's largely for these things. The last 2 products, you may not know, you may know art pieces, you may know billiard balls, you may know chopsticks, but you won't know that most of the ivory used to go very recently to Japan for making handclothes. Handclothes is the same seed, those white things that you briefly saw, we cut off again. Which are, because the Japanese and the Chinese have a script which does not allow for cursive writing, they cannot sign their names. So what's the difference between writing your name and signing it? There's no difference in Japanese or Chinese, so you have to get a stamp and stamp it. And every Japanese or Chinese has 3 stamps, one for the bank, one for his legal work, and one for his personal letters that he writes, or she writes. Right? So everybody has 3. In olden days it was wood, it was stone, but ivory to their eyes, to the Far Eastern eyes, is the most beautiful thing, just like Indians love gold. So if we have a little extra money, we invest in gold, either for ourselves or the women around us. Right? But the Chinese or Japanese invest in ivory. They think ivory is the most lustrous, most beautiful stone. I'm I'm skipping over a few slides because it doesn't make sense when you can't see it. But now, in southern Africa, there's been this notion, and I'm not going into any detail because again, Professor Rudy Banane will tell you more tomorrow. But I just want to talk about the philosophical difference, why India is different, right? So the Southern African argument is that there are too many elephants. And because there are too many elephants, they need to be culled. And as they're culled, they're generating revenue, which is a resource which should be used. And while using the resource, why not maximize your profit by selling it abroad? By selling the international trade, selling to the Chinese, Japanese, who want. And use it for the development of poor Africa. This is the synopsis of the argument that has been going around in the United Nations for years and years. I mean, I started this United Nations part of my thing about 25 years ago. Right? I've been attending societies regularly. There is no convention which meets every 3 years and debates whether we want to give arms to our children. There is no convention which debates whether we should legalize drugs. There are some Californian groups that do that, but not really invented. Right? But there is this convention which meets with 200 states and sits in a United Nations hall every now and then and discusses whether ivory should be legalized. Now, personally, and I know people have different opinions to this, but personally, I think these are value judgments, and this is why in India we don't get into that. Because too many elephants itself is a value judgment. I remember one state, Zimbabwe, said that 2.6 or something like that, elephants per square kilometer was the threshold. If elephants are more than 2.6, you can count. I may not be exact, it may not be 2.6, maybe 2.8 or something like that. I don't know if the whole take of that will go. In India, we have 4.5 in India, and we call it God. So, what is the difference? We may not ask for that. So the difference is the other thing that elephants need to be called again there are many ways of controlling an elephant population, and again I think many of those ways I don't want to steal his thunder. Generates revenue, which is needed in a poor country, of course, but we know that tourism is another way that an elephant, a live elephant, can also generate revenue, perhaps far more revenue. And a resource that can be used really does not benefit the local people. And many countries have tried this, but I have not seen any of this in the long term leading, as Neil said in this morning lecture, anything other than a short feeling of euphoria of getting a few dollars that either by aid agencies or even by their own government. But it is not sustainably developing population. So ivory comes from highly intelligent social animals that are affected by death and are bound by close family ties. As a result, I'm just quoting Aga Khan, he said, what is the human perversity that condones the killing of animals merely to decorate our person or surrounding with their revenue? You see a small photo, look at it quickly before it goes off. I've given a talk this must be 20 years. There was an old man sitting in the front. But this man had tears in his eyes. And at the end of the talk, he came up and introduced himself, and he said he is an ivory carver, a very prominent ivory carver of Bhutan. And he said, I have blood on my hands. After hearing your talk, I realized I thought elephants just go into a graveyard and die, and you pull their ivory out and it comes to you. And I never knew elephants that might kill, or elephants are killed for getting their ivory. And he invited me home. The Japanese don't normally do, they don't invite strangers to their home. And even more alarmingly, he invited me to his bedroom. And I went into his bedroom, there was this altar, which you see here. So the Japanese offer water and incense to their ancestors. That is their form of worship. And at that altar, he kept a small ivory piece, a tusk, which had a bullet in it. He said, when my tool cut this ivory split open, and at the lip there was a bullet lodged. He said, at that time I thought it was quite strange. But I continued carving, and I continued with that. He said, it's the only livelihood I know. He said, but after hearing your talk, I realized that this is a poached elephant. And he actually put it there. And from my pocket, I took out a small Ganesha. Whenever I go abroad, I have Ganeshas in my pocket. So this is one way of giving it to people and convincing them to give them to give us their votes in the United Nations. Good president. So I gave him a Ganesha. And now every time I go to Japan, I go to his house, and he's kept a Ganesha and the ivory tusk, and he's offering it water. So there is the thing that even what you say the Japanese and Chinese are utilizing, I think nobody's talking about. We like talking, as we mentioned, about racism. This is another form of racism. Even scientists, managers, we all have a form of racism. We talk in English, and we talk amongst ourselves. Linguistic racism is also there. Very few people go to China and talk in Chinese. Very few people go to Japan and talk in Japanese. Now it's happening. I think finally we are seeing conversations from within those countries talking about conservation. But all those years ago when I gave that lecture, I was hosted by Japan Wildlife Conservation Society. And they written in their banner behind me, in English, in Japanese they written Nihon no, which is Japan. And then in English they written Wildlife Conservation Society. So I asked my host, I said, why don't you write the whole thing in English or the whole thing in Japanese? Why the mixture? He said, as Japanese, I folded his hand and it was very serious. And he said, I'm so sorry, so sorry. But wildlife, we don't really have it. Animal, we can say, but wildlife, we don't really have it. Conservation, big problem, sir. Hogon is the word, just hug. So he said, the word for hugging. Really, conservation, no. Preservation, maybe, but conservation, no. Society, we don't have it. Ruler, some. So in a country where these sort of, just like I said, we are influenced by Indian ethics, they are influenced by what their grandmother taught them, right? Their ethics. It's time for us to talk to them, and it's time for themselves, the younger Japanese and Chinese, to come up and talk. Now, the next, how much time do I have? 3 minutes? I'll go quickly through the issue of land, which is much more important than conservation. And a lot of my energy in Wildlife Trust and of people at Wildlife Trust has been spent on preserving land. I told you, a number of people are getting killed. Now I also chair the Elephant Specialist Group, and wherever I'm going now, conflict seems to be a big discussion point. End of this month or next month, I'll be in Bangladesh looking at the Rohingya problem. There are 1 million refugees settled onto elephant habitat, completely destroying elephant habitat, and very soon we'll start destroying the Rohingyas. Already I think 4 or 5 people have got killed by elephants. So far they're not killing elephants because they don't have the means to, they're running at the moment. But soon they'll come together. So we have to think of what we are doing to elephant habitat and elephant corridors. I do show this Assamese picture very often. Normally in Assam, if an elephant dies by an accident or something, they offer flowers and burn incense. But here in one case, a few years ago, elephants have been poisoned in a paddy field and has been written on it, Dhanchor, paddy thief, Bin Laden, Osama Bin Laden. So elephant is turning in India from Ganesha to Osama Bin Laden. Why Osama Bin Laden? I don't know, just a symbol of hate, I suppose, in that area. But so people's views in India are changing. What their grandmother taught them may not work in the future, or they're forgetting, or their grandmothers are getting younger, so they're teaching them different things. But something is happening, our general ethic is changing. Now, when it's an elephant, you heard yesterday the manager saying we'll put more fences, we'll put more trenches. But if people are fighting in this room now, if 2 of you started fighting, I hope you don't, but if you do, what can I do? I can try to separate you, I can remove one of you, I can remove the other one, or I can understand why you're fighting about. And probably you'll be fighting about the fact that the light is coming on and off. And I can't do anything about it, but at least I can understand that that's what's, causing the tension. Now, when we talk of elephants, this separating the two we do beautifully. All managers do it, all politicians do it, everybody does it. Put trench, put fence, put something, just separate these two, all right? But there's a problem, I told you, because elephants need to move. And they're big, so you remember what I said. They're big, they can destroy your fence, they're intelligent, they know how to cross it. I have a small little patch of farm. Every now and then my manager there, sends me a WhatsApp. Sir, elephant has finished your fence, elephant has gone into your trench. So elephants will find a way, they're intelligent and they're big, okay? And they need to move.
So these are temporary, short-term, in certain areas important, but it cannot work as a long-term solution. Solution B is remove the person, right? So either I have to remove the elephant or I have to remove human beings. So when you're talking about removing elephants, I told you culling does not seem to be an accepted practice. In India, there's one paper I'm quoting, but there are so many things. If you see, I think number 5, culling 0. Not one person in that particular paper, not one person said culling is an option. Yeah? But removing can also be captivity, which is the traditional Indian system, and people do keep catching whenever there's a problem, because we have a history of keeping elephants in captivity. And this can also work in certain areas, but the welfare of keeping these wild, large bulls, which are, many of the animals which are causing problems are wild, large bulls, there's a welfare implication. So conservation-wise, it might be all right, but keeping these intelligent social animals in captivity has a definite welfare implication. Apart from the fact that something I've been discussing with my friends in Assam, that if you keep driving them and catching them, do you think aggression will be less or more in an intelligent social creature? Another intelligent social creature is a human being. If we keep coming into your family and taking away your child, tomorrow your wife, third time your aunt, are you going to be more aggressive or less aggressive? So I don't know how these individual captures are actually going to eventually solve the elephant thought process. If we are calling them intelligent, we must recognize that they are thinking. And what are they thinking of us as a species? Are they loving us or hating us? Why are human deaths increasing? Surely the elephants are now seeing you as people who are a threat to them, and some of them are going to have very personal biases against some humans, because they know people as well. And they will come and find and kill. If you talk about moving people away, now all the yellow is people, by the way. Earlier in one slide I showed you the white. Where do you move people away? So yes, in certain places even we have done 1 or 2 villages or whatever, but you can't do this as a general policy. You can't just move people. People are all over. So the fourth option is the only one which you can try to do, is understand what is the conflict. And we have heard this yesterday, but I'm coming back to my 4 things only. It's large, it's a big animal, so it needs a lot of food. If you allow an elephant to just settle and be in one place, it'll eat itself out of the habitat. It has to move. Biologically, by just understanding they're large, we must know that they need to move. Okay? The forests grow back, the elephants come back. There's a cyclical, rhythmical pattern that elephants have figured out for themselves. Yesterday I did say that 3.5 million years in India alone. Yeah, I'm not talking about the African origin. Came into India 3.5 million years. They've had a lot of evolutionary history to teach them that they have to move. I told you about the social issues. The intelligence part is a difficult one. I mean, I did talk briefly about the fact that they get over your fences and trenches. But there are other issues of intelligence which don't necessarily mean that landscape planning will work. For example, if you're an intelligent human being who likes ice cream or chocolate or whatever else, I can keep giving you any amount of good, nutritious food, but the moment you see your chocolate or ice cream, you'll go for it. So like that, elephants like certain things, like certain crops, and even though you give them enough habitat and enough corridors, they may go for it because they like that particular food. They're intelligent, they have a mind of their own. I'm giving you one challenge with an intelligent being. But mostly, corridors or large-scale landscape planning is the solution. You heard 4 PCCFs yesterday, and the DG, and the former Director of Wildlife, the man who founded everything in India, all of them talking about the problems, but not one of them said that we have to actually set aside land intelligently for animals. Everybody said that we will put more trenches, we'll do more management plans, we'll find ways of solving conflict. But the fact is, eventually, for solving conflict at this level, there is no short answer to this. You have to set aside land, not vast tracts of land, very small tracts of land. I will wind up in 10 minutes. I don't want you to look at graphs, but what I want you to see is that the overall length is between 1 and 3 kilometers of these corridors we are talking about. The overall width is between 1 and 2 kilometers. So it's not huge amounts of land. Yes, there are 100 pieces of these 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer stretches, but we know it. the engineer, the British engineer who cut the first roads in the Himalayas knew it. Because he used elephant footprints being the most stable gradient. He went along elephant footprints and cut the first roads. Brilliant engineering. Very bad for the elephant. Right? Because for millions of years they're using the same path, and now you have put a highway across it, or a railway, or a power line, or a irrigation canal, or whatever. Yeah, so lots of these images. If those of you with WhatsApp, you'll be flooded with images. Just subscribe to any elephant group. Every day you'll get images and videos of elephants standing in the middle of roads. Elephants. Yesterday there was an elephant getting into a truck and catching hold of the driver and pulling him aside and asking for bananas. Till bananas were given. These are wild animals which are actually taking over our cities, or rather, our cities have taken over their movement paths, and therefore they're reclaiming it at the moment. At the moment, they're winning, by the way. 400 to 500 people being killed. Only 200 elephants being killed, or 250 elephants being killed. But soon that may change. But I'm saying that this is a major issue. So these signages are all up. I often use this slide to show that we say elephant corridors, and IFO and WTI and state government protects elephant corridors, but it's just biological corridors. The tiger doesn't know how to read. So it'll also use an elephant corridor. I mean, there's a signage of an elephant corridor, but it uses it. And in Kerala, one of the most difficult states to do anything of this sort, we've actually shifted 5 villages out of an elephant corridor. It has taken us 10 years to do it properly and to ensure that the elephant can move between Kerala and Karnataka, actually. That's a link. But if it had been cut, one major connectivity in the Western Ghats would have gone. And this is a win-win situation for the people, if done right. Please don't cut and paste this across India. Number one, moving people should be the last resort. Yeah? But if it has to be done, and I have some of my colleagues, Anil is here, he spent 10 years with a lot of hair, where he went into Rajaji, and now he's lost all his hair trying to move one village out, right? So you have to really spend a long time working with one set of people, understanding their needs. And then if you do that, I keep giving this example of this Gowda with his daughters. And when we went to him in his village, he was a headman, and we had to convince him. And he said that I want a bedroom with, I want a house with 6 bedrooms because I have 6 daughters, and when they marry, they'll come and live with me. So I want a house with 6 bedrooms. And we built it for him. Yeah? Everybody said I'm nuts. And when we showed this to Prince Charles, he's a very funny man, by the way, and if you have not heard him, you should hear him. And he took one look. He said, "You mean this is not cookie cutter houses? You build separate things for separate people?" I said, "Yes, we do." He said, "They're so lucky." I was not so lucky. I just got a palace. So that's it. I think my time is mostly up. I should tell you one small thing in the Northeast where we are not buying land in the Garo. I don't know whether we are expecting 2 Garo leaders also here. I don't know whether they've entered the room already. And they have a session later on in the afternoon, and they can tell you more about it. Where communities setting aside land at their own will. We are only giving them a little bit of developmental help. Actually, we can't even call it development given the amounts of money it actually entails. Very little. A little help, support. But they say that in their laws, they have a way of setting 25% of land anyway as sacred groves or as protected forests. So they said, we'll do it along your elephant corridors. So their pujari or their elders came and figured out what they have to do to declare it under their law. So this is not declared under Wildlife Protection Act. This is not a conservation reserve or community reserve or a sanctuary or national park. It's the community setting aside land, and they're being compensate is a very not really a correct word. A little bit by NGOs. I'll skip all this, and I'll skip all this because it's got these things. Sorry. You see the electricity played havoc. I'll just show you one slide, that's all. Well, this one will do. So, without showing you all the details, which I could have, I'll just put it all up. Yeah. These 7 things are what I think is critical. Governance models are important, and when I'm saying governance models, many of the things I mentioned are that landscape planning, the political will from the top, and I'm sure there are others in the back who I can't see, but I can see Mr. Kampa Burgeri sitting right here in front. and I must mention a political leader who's won 3 elections from the public, actually setting aside so much land for, tripling the size of Manas National Park is an unheard of political decision. But this can be done by leaders who wish to have their stamp on posterity as somebody who has left something for the nation and for the animals thereby. You may not understand some of these because there are very specific points. And these are not something that I have actually taken out of my head. All this forms part of a very comprehensive document called Gaja, which was prepared by the Union government a few years ago, about 5 years ago, or now it's a little more actually, 6 or 7 years ago. And I was part of that committee, which wrote that, and a few other people here are part of that committee. And that goes into clear details of what needs to be done. The Tiger project is actually a Tiger authority now. They actually have money, a few thousand crores, yeah? Whereas the Project Elephant Directorate, I don't know whether the Inspector General of Project Elephant is here in the room, but anyway, is one of the smallest projects of the Ministry of Environment and Forest with a pittance that it has to try and help elephants across India. Now, this will not help unless we strengthen this department in such a way that they can actually govern these landscapes and have a direct impact. I think all this talk will be of no use. So we are gathered here, friends, to celebrate the national heritage animal. Okay, I've told you something about it, but please take time and go and see the wonderful art and come in the evenings and see the dance and music. I don't know how many of you were here yesterday, but it was a spectacular performance. And so different artists have come here to express why they feel the national heritage animal must be preserved. However, if you get chance, go to the websites, either ours or the ministries, and download Gaja, because that is I'm not going to bore you with 10 slides. It's a document which is well thought out, which gives very specific recommendations, and you may disagree or agree with a few of them, but broadly I'm sure all scientists and planners will find the document of great use. And if that is implemented, or even 25% of that document is implemented, I think the future for the elephant in India is secure. So with that, I'd like to end my talk. Thank you very much. Is there time for questions?
Check.
The minister is here, but we can ask 1 or 2 questions while he is seated.
Yeah.
We can go for the questions. Anyone? Mr. Menon, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big hand for Mr. Menon once again. Despite of all the distractions, we made it to the presentation. So thank you so much. Yes, please, questions? Anyone? Yeah.
I think there's a mic, Raghu. Finally, it's working. I mean, we must use it when it works.
Vivek, you must have come across the good practices which minimize conflict in some areas, and also where there doesn't exist. I just want to know, have you any idea what is the missing link in the areas where you don't see the good practices which minimize conflict?
No, I think I said that, which is landscape planning. So all these practices...
No, I mean with the communities.
With the communities?
Yeah, communities who live with the elephants.
Yeah.
You will see there are practices which minimize conflict with elephants. And there may be communities living with elephants, but they're not so friendly with the existence of. So,
yeah.
Is there any missing link that you could identify?
There are many. So, but I'm once again, I'm not answering your question directly. In fact, I'm going one step ahead, because why are we leaving the onus of solving this huge problem on communities, right? Even if we're helping them, even if the government is helping communities, what I'm saying is that if we plan what land needs to be set aside for elephants, you will not have many of these problems, and you don't need to then help communities solve those problems. So I think that must be done, but not to say that, I mean, people are having problems today, and there are many good things which people are doing. I'll give you one example, I mean, not to say that this is should be done everywhere. Again, India is a varied country. But in Arunachal and in parts of Assam, we have done a scheme called Grain for Grain. The elephant has not come into the field and taken your money. It has taken your grain. So in cases where it's a homogeneous tribe which is subsistence, it does work. But where there's no subsistence and people are farming, as a supplementary thing, then they're interested only in money. But if they're interested in food, then, for example, a small thing like that, by giving immediate grain, if an elephant damages the crop, there's a lot less resentment among people. We have now tested in 3 places in the Northeast, and it's been successful. Not in Manas area, maybe we should try it there also. But yeah. Any other questions?